Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. All right, it's one of those big monster hits that just makes you want to sing and behave like you're the one who recorded it in the first instance.
Big shoot, big shoot.
Hey, I don't know where he gets his energy from. I saw some videos that were posted of him in performance recently.
Yeah.
And to see him jump up, and then choke off. Like, take off like a jet plane that he used to do 15, 20 years ago.
No, man.
Him still, I want to tell you, I feel like Prophet. I jump higher right now.
Let me tell you, Prophet, battery,
yeah, man,
fully charged.
Me need to find him roots, man. Morning, Prophet. Big up yourself and all the other entertainers out there this morning. We have one that he will be talking to around about 8:30 this morning. He's based in Canada, as a matter of fact. And we're going to see whether or not we can make that connection later on this morning. At 25 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock, it's time for WTF. We call it What the Fact. And this one relates to all of us here in the studio.
Oh, yeah?
And others who work in studio settings like we do. Here's an interesting fact. Using your earphones or your headphones, as we do, for way too long can lead to hearing losses.
Right.
Somebody should have told me that in the late 1980s.
No, Richie, this too close to home.
Oh my goodness. It hasn't said anything about the volume at which you play your headphone. Every now and again you hear a squeak. Sometimes it's because somebody on this side's headphone is a little loud. Kevin can relate to what he was saying, and he has pointed out, turn your headset down a couple of times. Well, not to mention Sean. You must see Sean face when that happened. So, using your headphones for way too long can lead to hearing losses, especially when the volume is too high. But here's the fact. You can prevent unwanted hearing problems from occurring when you keep the volume at 60% and use headphones only for 1 hour at a time. So I'm down. Looks like I'm up to 90%. I'm trying to go down to 60 to see if it would work for me. But because if I don't hear the headset with the music and everything at a certain volume, I have no vibe whatsoever.
That is it.
And that is the problem that we face. Don't it?
There's no way this volume in this earphone, Richie, can be at maybe 20.
No, sir.
20%.
If my headphone volume is really way down and you hear the music playing and all that, I'm going to come on the ears sounding like, well, is it right? No. Yeah. It's 27.
No.
Oh, and the music got kicked. Hey, 28 minutes in the morning.
Let me tell you, the bass have to be up there.
Yeah, man. But I try to even if I don't keep the volume at 60%, maybe 65, and I'm not lying. I try not to lie. but even if it's a little more than that, the truth is I try not to keep it on for more than an hour. And so some songs DJ Audley's juggling, I take it off and I'm doing other stuff, put it back on when I'm going back on air, so that you can always hear yourself and sort of gauge your volume at which you speak, so you don't overpeak.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's an interesting fact that more related to people like who do what we do and work in studio settings, but also persons who just simply wear their headphones, their earphones. You ought not to keep it in for more than about an hour, and try to keep the volume gauge at about 60% if you can measure it. All right? That is WTF. We call it What the Fact.
Yeah, get them on. Yeah.
He died in 1996, but how many times have we heard since that time of sightings of this very well-known rapper, Tupac Shakur? So I'm at a point where whenever I see his name in a headline, immediately I want to read that story, because I want to see if somebody's coming up with another theory of where they have spotted Tupac Shakur. And here's a story now coming out of the New York Times. And they are reporting that the Las Vegas police have executed a search warrant in connection with the fatal drive-by shooting of the rapper Tupac Shakur, which occurred in 1996. according to the department in a release yesterday. And that in itself has reinvigorated the investigation into the unsolved death of quite a mythic figure in hip-hop. Shakur, who had sold millions of albums and had reached #1 on the charts, was shot as he was leaving a Mike Tyson Bruce Seldon prize fight in Las Vegas when a Cadillac pulled up alongside the BMW he was riding in, and he was shot. He died less than a week later at the very young age of 25. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said in a statement that it had served the search warrant in Henderson, Nevada, a city just outside of Las Vegas, on Monday, but it declined to comment further. Of course, we can tell you a little bit more about Tupac Shakur. His All Eyes on Me was one of the first double albums in hip-hop. He began acting on screen in the early 1990s, starring as the male lead opposite Janet Jackson in John Singleton's 1993 romantic drama Poetic Justice when he died. And he was extremely popular and highly rated, and still is, as a matter of fact. But I'm wondering, this whole matter of searching that property so many years, decades really later, what are they hoping that they'll be able to find? I don't know. It baffles me, in all honesty. Maybe it's just a matter of keeping the conversation going. I don't know. Because really and truly, are you expecting officers that you're going to pick up evidence of anything that would have happened in 1996 in this year of our Lord 2013? I don't know. But we'll wait and we'll watch and we'll see and we'll share whatever information we have on this developing story. That was, of course, Update. The fact is, we are now joined by the head of Team Jamaica Bickle, and a man who definitely has a lot of information that he can share, especially on matters like these. My good friend, Mr. Irwin Clear. I think I disturbed his tennis usual routine at this time, but he will spend a few minutes with us. Good morning, Irwin. How are you?
I am quite well. I will always yield to a man who can wear confidently pink and white.
Thank you, sir. And if I did disturb your tennis workout at this time, I apologize, but I thank you as well for your kind accommodation, okay?
You're quite welcome. I need the reprieve.
Yeah, man. Wonderful. Wonderful, Irwin. Now, is this matter being blown out of proportion, or is there minor or major disagreement, even a diplomatic row brewing between the USA and Jamaica on the matter that we just heard a while ago being reported on?
Well, if it wasn't, it is now. It's in the public sphere where it does not belong. And I go back to the whole situation of diplomacy and its expectations. Mm-hmm. When we talk diplomacy, we're talking about being sensitive, being tactful, and operating in a manner speaking of discretion, activity, and subtleness. Because in both scenarios here, both countries have their responsibilities to their laws, rules, and regulations. And one could say that for every country in the world. But then we do not act in insular ways. We have to find ways to come out of situations where there are palatable results, because we have to work with each other in this world, regardless of our differences. And that's why we pay our diplomats. That's why we pay people to be diplomatic. This situation, Richie, we should not be having a discussion on. These are things that takes place in boardrooms, not in public squares, because we know what happens when that takes place. And that is by no means to say that matters of the sort are concealed from public consumption. However, the discussion of the outcomes requires a certain level of diplomacy, a certain level of understanding of far-reaching implications, because there are potential far-reaching implications here, which Jamaica, as a small nation, unfortunately, could be at the shorter end of the stick. And let's not kid ourselves. I think that the opportunity to resolve this is still there, and I have to imagine that even as we speak here in the public sphere, that operations and discussions are taking place behind closed doors, and a resolve will come forth. But there's open wounds. There are those more than likely who will take advantage of the situation for whatever their dubious intentions are. But this is an unfortunate situation, and it does not bode well for both nations.
If it turns out, as it is seemingly turning out right now, that Jamaica and the USA are at two opposite ends of the spectrum on this matter, you mentioned far-reaching implications. We heard in that report that it could mean a lot of things for our diplomats and even ambassador who might have to return home at the end without an extension at the end of their term in office. Right.
Yes.
So what are some of these far implications that are likely from how you see it, Erwin?
Well, you just have to look at how the United States, in its powerful position, can wield its own, and we see it happening right now. And again, the good thing here is that there are some safety measures here. And I say safety measures. We've had a great relationship, and we have a great relationship with the United States, and very much so for our benefit. But you see, if one were to look at it at the extreme, we could see the fact that some of our leaders, and their spouses their children may not necessarily get to travel to the United States this holiday. You just turn up at the airport and your visa is not working, or I don't want to use the word cancelled, but it's not working. These are some of the subtle ways, and we're seeing it happen in countries too. We're seeing it happens where the removal of visas, some persons, as a matter of fact, it's happening here in Jamaica due to whatever circumstances. And then you have to look at the whole experience. And remember, that Jamaica prides itself as an open nation, especially in the tourism market. So one could almost say that there's some double standards here as to what it is that we seem to be picking and choosing here as to what is the right moral issue or what is the right moral positioning on certain things. But economically speaking, we could have some impact there. We pride ourselves, as I said, Richie, as a country that attracts a whole lot of people from all over the world to this nation. And our economy depends on that. And I could go on and on in other areas too, which may not seem relevant at this point, but has serious implications economically.
People are responding even as we speak. Here's a message that just came in from one of the members of the Bridge Nation. I'll put it forward. Washington is very sneaky. They purposefully orchestrated this move to force the government's hand on the matter. That is a view that is being expressed by a member of the Bridge Nation. You wanted to comment on that?
Yeah, and those are the kind of things that spill off now in the public sphere conversation, because let's go back to the laws of the United States. Listen, I live in an environment where my personal opinions are such that, my personal opinions. But when I go out into the space to provide for my family and to put food on the table, I realize I have to formulate what I call, and this is Erwin Clear speaking now, what I call unholy alliances to survive. And there are rules and regulations that many times I do not agree with, but I have to survive in an environment that people also look at me to and said, hey, I am accommodated via certain rules and regulations as well. And the laws are such that it accommodates same-sex marriage, and that is the law of the land, whether I like it or not. No. How do we know exactly than others? No, that's where diplomacy comes in. We have to find ways that we can come out of situations recognizing that our integrity, we stand for, still stands. But we still have to buy your product. You still have to buy my product. Thousands and millions of our nationals live in the United States, and there are opportunities for trade back and forth. And we're still considered a friendly bordered nation of the United States of America, to which so much of what exists here depends on.
On the local front, so to speak, what are the political implications? I mean, I saw a whole lot of a storm brewing once this became public. Many seemingly, giving the government sort of applause for the approach that they have taken so far. What are the political implications on the local scene on this matter?
Yeah, and then you're right. And government needs to stand, and you stand for something or you fall for everything. But, at the same token, I also note that the government recognized too that it cannot find itself in an insular situation. Because at the end of the day, we still, whether we want to like it or not, we still require an amicable relationship with the United States of America. And for those who may use this for political or partisan upmanship, I don't know if that's a strategy that will be beneficial long term. It may give you that shot in the arm or take you away from certain things happening, and it may be one of those situations that allows for you to once you know take you out of the spotlight and other situations. But this is not something that short term gains can carry you through in the long run, because it has more serious implications. We do not live in a world where we lock ourselves off and stand for things and not have the opportunity to negotiate. Because let's get ourselves now. We talk about the Caribbean community and CARICOM and all that. But let's take a poll. I wonder how many countries be standing up firm and say yeah. Because at the end of the day, Richie, all politics is local, and you have to make sure that you position yourself in the best interest of your nation. Sometimes you have to make hardcore decisions that may not necessarily win you elections at the next poll, or may not necessarily cause you to lose, or whatever the case might be. But we must put Jamaica first. And I give kudos to the government in whatever they're doing, but let's make hope that whilst all this angst is taking place publicly, that our diplomats who are charged with the responsibility of working out these situations are doing their work. Because really and truly, I think we have gone way down the wicket on this one. Because I think that this should have been handled better. We should not be at this table now having this discussion.
Okay. People are even equating what is developing now to the situation years ago when our former Prime Minister Bruce Golding made that appearance on British television when he used the term "not in my cabinet," and are seeing similarities in terms of the story as it develops.
Yes, and that's true. But look at now between then and now and how the world has radically changed. You see, so this is not just in the United States alone we're talking about here. The other European countries too that have similar liberal situations that we could find ourselves that's similar in past too. How do we deal with those situations? Maintain and not necessarily acquiescing or saying that as a result of this decision it means that we agree with. Listen, again, I go back to my statement. Unholy alliances for the survival of our people.
Yes. So Erwin, we're all hoping that this matter will be amicably resolved and quickly too. Is that the hope, right?
Yeah, that is so rich because, like I said, Jamaica's economic role at this particular point and its upward projection, according to our government and our leaders, this is not something we need to be spending too much resources on, because the results here. There are too many things that are in the balance right now that we need to be paying a lot more attention. I believe that in my situation, if I look at this, I'd say that our diplomats, like I said, went too far down the wicket here. I think a better resolve than this could have been realized. Because I don't think this is the first time this is happening. And you'd be surprised when these things that are resolved that you and I don't even know. All we know is that things are working. But people are behind the scenes working day in and day out. And these are two of our diplomats that are in key positions in Washington and in Miami. And I would imagine others will be coming, in terms of our offices could have impact later on as well. Yeah. But again, our trade, our relationship in the world, and how we exist, we have to be better at our diplomacy on this, on both sides.
All right, Erwin Clare, I want to thank you so much for helping me to dissect this very topical issue. I invite you now to, well, in fact, I suggest you might want to go back to your tennis game and have a great day for the rest of it. Thanks so much.
All the best, Richie, and all the best to you. Like I said, powerful statement, my friend.
All right, thank you so much. Take care. Pink and white.
Yeah.
Erwin Clare, thank you very, very much. Oddly, this is a very, very topical issue, and one that we have to monitor very, very carefully.
But pay attention to this one, Richie, man. Let me tell you.
The implications are far-reaching, politically. In fact, I saw a statement, let's just say an initial statement that was published, purportedly from the People's National Party, and they were not seemingly supporting in that report the stance of the government, and sort of advising the Prime Minister to settle this matter. I don't know if they meant by making accommodations to the United States, but later on, yesterday, a follow-up release came, and in that second release, it was saying that the initial release was actually fake.
Okay.
So I think the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, labeled as fake a document bearing the party's letterhead that was being circulated, purportedly attacking the government's position in the diplomatic row seemingly festering between Washington, D.C. and Kingston over Jamaica's reported refusal to accredit the spouse of an American diplomat. He actually said, and I quote, "It's fake. We will be sending out a release regarding our position soon." So, there are people who are questioning how come it came out on the letterhead and whatever, but the GenSec is actually saying that the initial release was actually a fake
one.
Release.
Okay.
So we are waiting to hear what their position will be on that matter.
Sure.
Good morning, Richie Flo. How you doing, sir? Good morning. Welcome to the program. All is well. How is Toronto? Are you in Toronto, by the way?
Well, I'm in GTA, just outside of downtown Toronto. Like 40 minutes outside of the downtown.
Okay.
We call it GTA, Greater Toronto.
The Greater Toronto area. I got you. I carried a story about the high temperatures being experienced all over the world, especially in Europe. Is Canada getting very hot right now, or is it's nice, cool temperatures?
Well, it depends on where you are. For now, it's warm. It's warm, but I don't see the extreme temperature that we're seeing elsewhere currently.
Okay. So you don't have.
I don't want to talk too soon because I see as a trend, as I said, there's a trend happening everywhere, right?
Yeah, but let's be honest about it. We're not expecting temperatures of 117 degrees in Toronto anytime.
I hope not.
No time soon.
That would be good at all.
No, sir. Not good for anybody. Only my friends who live in Arizona, for instance. But in a serious way, Richie, you've made a mark in the world of recorded sound. We love that song called "Another." You call it "Another Day," right?
Yeah, another day. Another day.
Yeah, just another day. That's one of our favorites from your catalog. Shall we go back to how it all started? I think it was about 2004 that you got involved in the recording music business. How did that come about?
So, you know what? The first song I made was, I used to write poems. I used to write like some poem, and, never really thought much about it until their song. Until, I kind of learned more about it. My uncle, he kind of gave some pointers. My uncle had been doing music for years. And gave some pointers on, how to structure music. And I wrote this song. I didn't really plan on doing that. Wrote the song, and then I went in the studio. A friend of mine encouraged me to go in the studio. I said, record. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm not a singer or anything. Go in the studio and I recorded the song. And from then I just keep learning and growing as an artist. And, I found my voice after that, But I started out DJing and then,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, started out DJing.
That's interesting. So when you're doing like your live performances and so on, do you sort of incorporate both into your delivery, a little DJing and a lot of singing?
Yeah, you can probably hear it because my flow is more like a DJ flow. So how I sing is it's like a DJ, and when I write my songs, it's more like that. So it's more sing J.
Some people would say that you're more like a sing J then. Yeah, I got you.
The bass is DJ. That's where I started. That's where I understood. But the worms, the rhymes that I use, it's more from the poetry. It's more from the poetry days, I would write something where you can interpret,
So you're obviously a very versatile artist. What about albums? Do you have any albums to your credit as yet?
Yes. I have an album I released July 19, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
really?
Life, Love, and Music.
So we're speaking to you on the 19th of July, 2023, a few years later. What was the album called?
Life, Love, and Music.
How well did it do?
Like, it got lots of songs well received. You have a song like, with me, Rastenko on it. Like, people love the songs on that album. The date itself was very important because my birthday is tomorrow is my birthday.
Oh, really?
I released it for my birthday, yeah. We was released.
All right, happy Earth Strong when it comes from all of us here on Bridge 99. Yeah.
So I have some songs now that still, like, when I perform them, they still have lots of impact, that I've gotten lots of play, like, Hard Times, one of those songs that, like, in my catalog, whenever I perform anywhere, I have to perform it.
Yeah.
Some more songs like Favorite Kush from the album Baby, like, people love those songs, and, it's been years, and they still seem new. Right? Yeah.
So did you name your favorite Kush? Was it Indica or Purple Skunk?
It's just a favorite.
Okay. You're based in Toronto. Are you able to effectively get your music out? Do you think you're connecting in Jamaica? I understand that you were here recently for a performance. And how important is the Jamaican market to your survival and your brand?
It's very important. And to your question about connecting with the audience outside of Jamaica, it's important for myself. Like, I see myself as an international artist, put it that way. I'm not in Jamaica doing it, but it's important to connect to Jamaica because that's where the engine is. That's where you need to go and, and let's say prove yourself in a sense. Make sure the music can relate to the people in Jamaica before it can relate outside of the world as well. I was there with Rastafest. So we did couple shows, Negril and Crossroad, Wochi. So did couple events there, and it was more about showcasing Canadian talent, Jamaican Canadian talent, right? So that was a good experience, and I said it's very important to connect with Jamaican audience.
If you just joined us, Bridge Nation, we're talking here with Richie Flo. And by the way, Richie, I was trying to get your number to establish this connection, and I kept spelling your name F-L-O-W. It took me quite a while before I remembered that there's no W. So, by the way, while we're at it, what are your social media handles that you want to put forward?
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram, and it's Real Richie Flo, and that's RealRichieflo. And again, no W. I have a website, richieflo.com, and it's RichiefLO.com. Twitter at Richie Flo, and it's RichiefLO. You can find me there.
Yeah. I did some reading, and I see where you seem to take pride in putting forward positive music, and that is something that I really enjoy. Hearing from an artist. Tell us why you take that approach to the music.
You know what? It's balance. Everything needs balance. If you think of it, the world, what we see now, if everybody is doing negative, you need to, like myself, I say I have an affirmation. More and more, I say and do my music is, I have to do more positive. It's a balance, because if we think of, like, for me, growing up, my upbringing is, I take responsibility. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's irresponsible, like, as people that do music, it's a responsibility. People are listening and understanding what you're saying. So if I am a person that has a responsibility to be positive, I have to put out positive music, right? So that's my stand I'm taking, and, and that's my resolve. I will keep doing that until I die.
Good to hear that, bro. Good to hear that. I wish you well going forward, man. It's great talking with you. Anybody you want to big up, any shout-outs you want to do right here while you're at it on air?
Definitely. Big up the whole of Jamaica. Big up the whole of Bridge Nation. Big up yourself. One blood, call every time. Big up, big up all of my brother them in music. Big up my family out in that place called Bransbury. People know it as Buckeny. A little community in a little rural part of Jamaica. Nobody ever talk about. Big up all of St. Thomas. Big up entire Jamaica every time.
All right. And before you go, just tell us what you're working on now. What are we to expect over the next, maybe for the rest of 2023 and early 2024?
Yeah, definitely. Look out for my EP coming soon called St. Thomas Maban. Right, dropping this year. I just have some finishing touches on that one. You have Another Day is a one of the singles of that EP, and I'm working on some good music that can last the test of time. So look out for that. St. Thomas Maban.
All right. Thank you very much, Richie Flo. Great catching up with you this morning, and have a great day today in Toronto, and all the best to you going forward. All right, big up yourself.
Thank you so much.
All right, our pleasure. Now, this morning, we had, of course, a chat with Erwin Clare this morning at 7 o'clock. The head of Team Jamaica Bickle, and a man who has spent a number of years in the United States. He helped us to dissect the sort of diplomatic row brewing between Jamaica and the USA, and he gave some honest and very important pointers in that conversation. Our next guest was at 8:30 when we had Richie Flo, a Jamaican artist based in Canada, telling us all about his career and his plans going forward. Big up yourself once again, Richie Flo. I'd like to thank, of course, Kevin, Mr. Williams. Thank you for your support as usual, sir. And that's Kevin Williams, our tech op. DJ Oil was behind the wheels of steel, and we thank you as always. And like we mentioned earlier, Shells and Jody were absent today. We wish them a great day, whatever they're doing. And my name is Richie B. On behalf of the entire crew, we thank you most of all, Bridge Nation, for tuning in and listening to the program this morning. Also, for giving us such wonderful feedback as you did throughout the morning. Make it a great day today. Don't forget that Richie B loves you bad, and this is why we always try to treat you good. So you be good to yourselves until one more time when we get a chance to be good to you. And remember, as you go through this day, do what you can to save the children.